Chamge god misingitab kalenji huituliatan igerian Kass TV embetunatan barani tagatan Kass Mashinani show natan itawun guni kedasta gi gusigong tukar je terterchin che tasatai en betunatan barani ko bata ta betunatan go baw tamaduni en amuta mangal gutnyo lide natan gararan itagat en betuta barani kayna nyon ko Stanley abore kitawnen ke bertanatan ne bo ngalalet en taye gi miten gel nyegel jingel nyatanda ten lo studio daktari Purity Ngina ndat ko evidence manager in Zizi Africa Foundation kugusinga tukara jetete jinje basomanete agora tukara jetete tai jetinya ngala gab somanet lagog at panda tai agora tene betu bara ene go betu ne bo International Day of the Girl Child egere la tos kimite ne bono ngala gab gender parity tos ko ya much kai notan gine magat Yangalalen parliament, yangalalen emet a political class. Agoba ngalaga tutars gender rule, kenda tosune en bunge gigi tiatan akechangor missing chegitinya ngalaga gender. So embetunatan baran go International Day of the Girl Child. Lagi may bit kita unin yata nagiti ngalaga samane korage nyor wara sirikia reporters kubun ko masukara ni 13 tom chep so go stand by miten Isaac Ogey miten agene en line doctor genyoru. En kasartana tana matian en Kass Mashinani en pitunatan barani tagat kun misingita kalanjin awratan gitawne go bertana ta ke wala gotit kitigin ke be kingereza na Kiswahili gitina tandanyon en ran karibu sana daktari. Good to have you back on Kass TV. So it's a great pleasure. So maybe you can say hi to our viewers, then we kickstart from there. Karibu.
Thank you so much for having me. It is nice to come back, and very more important for me today is a special day because we are celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child. This could be the 11th year since 2012, and I think we have made milestone. And I hope you'll discuss about the many strides as a country we have made. And as you said, I work for Zizi Africa Foundation. We do research in the education sector, looking into what are the barriers, for example, that are hindering either children from transitioning to higher level, even when the government has 100% transition. Also issues to do with values and life skills, because I think if you look at the curriculum, the competence-based curriculum, it gives a lot of emphasis on core competencies, things like critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration and communication, self-awareness, and also some values, including respect. And my area of research is in those complex issues, because I feel if as a country we don't build youth or learners who have these core competencies, what people call 21st century skills, then we might face a very rough time, because we will not have people to think outside the box, and a country need people who are able to create employment for themselves, people who have the skills to maintain their jobs, people who are self-aware, but also people who have integrity, honesty, who are promoting peace, social justice, citizenship, and all that. And we also do areas, we also focus on parental. CBC is very keen on parental engagement. What is the role of parent? I'm a young parent, and sometimes I'm always like, is my role just to feed, to take my child to school? What else can I do? How can I support the school? And I think those are good questions that we need to keep asking ourselves. Of course, when you look at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, they have a framework that need to be followed, but we don't have an implementation plan. So we need to work on an implementation plan where parents are able to see, okay, this is what I need to do. Even knowing that in our context, many parents don't have the basic education. So we might not expect them to support the children in homework, but there's other things that they can do with their children. And even issues, as I mentioned, of values and life skills. But also, we also focus on youth. If you look at TVET now is a new thing, but how can we ensure that when our children go to TVET colleges or the VTCs, they get out of those places holistic. They have the technical skills, but they also have the soft skill, and allow me to use the word soft but those are the transferable skills. Those who probably even went there, they can speak, how do we build their literacy level? How do we support them to think about entrepreneurship and all those sort of things? What does it take? And now trying also to ask ourselves, how does sport I know many people like football, volleyball. How does sport support in building a holistic child? You know, just those research area. I think we are broadly focusing on many aspects, but just in education sector.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dr. talking about the values, at what point maybe as a parent you have to like be able to cue in, for your child, because you see now we have this we have the Generation Z. You have the social media here, and they learn other things. They learn it so quickly, So at what point? Because when you talk about, I had a conversation with someone talking about the national ethos, and what's supposed to be done, the right thing. And for this young kid, at what point are you supposed maybe to start preparing the child, to adopt and cope, with maybe the current peer pressure, the current way of lifestyle,
When you look at some of these values and the competencies, as a parent, you and all of us are a blackboard.
Yes.
You cannot preach honesty if you are not honest yourself. If you are not a person of integrity, or you use vulgar language, you expect your children to definitely do something like that, because you are their first role model. So I think parents have a big responsibility in terms of nurturing, and nurturing through example, living those values. If you don't want, sometimes when you hear parents encouraging certain conversations with children that are maybe to say this person is not good because they come from this community, or this person is not good because they believe they are in this religion or something like that. Those are not conversations we should be having with our children. We should be helping our children understand we might differ. We might not be the same, but we have something in common. We can build the country together. Yes. And so for me, I feel the responsibility of a parent is really role modeling. But as a country, sometimes when you listen to our leaders, when they speak, sometimes you want to hide, because you can't imagine someone first who has gone to school, someone who has such a big position or big responsibility, saying certain things. And that is why I feel like we have a big responsibility. But also I support now the CBC. If you look at the CBC and the values, they even have value-based education, and I think KICD is piloting. And they're even supporting issues to do with community service learning, because when you engage with people from different communities, you're able to understand who they are, their culture, what they stand for, but also finding your own voice within all that. And I think CBC gives us that opportunity. If you look at these core competencies, something like self-efficacy, and self-awareness, if our children are able to be so self-aware, they might be able to navigate all these challenges we are facing in this world, the issue of social media. If they're able to think for themselves, critical thinking, they're able to know, okay, this is what the social media is presenting to me, but this is a decision I can make. They're able to make informed decision for themselves. And that is why, for me, I feel if this curriculum is well implemented, we can somehow get closer to having children who are probably going to support in the growth of the economy. And when we were doing research, it was sad because I think the last time I was here, we had just finished conducting the research, and the data was out that only 6% of our adolescents between the age of 13 to 17 had the highest proficiency level in terms of problem solving. And meaning that our youth are not prepared to solve complex issues. They are not prepared to think outside the box. And our culture has played a big role, because growing up, we were in these families where you are not supposed to speak. Your parents would be like, why are you speaking when there are elders here? But now we need to change. We need to encourage conversation, even at the classroom level. If you reflect back when you are in school, whether in high school or primary, it was unlikely that you'd ask a question. Because those children who ask questions, sometimes they were pointed as people who are not focusing in class. They are trying to show, to lower the dignity of the teachers, you were just supposed to listen to the teacher, answer a question if it is asked, and never ask a question. But now if you look at the CBC curriculum, I think the spirit was to unmute the classroom. Let us have conversations. Even the way the arrangement. I remember when in my class, when I was in class 8, class 7, we were sitting either 2 girls and a boy in between, or 2 boys and a girl in between, so that you cannot converse. Actually, it was for you not to converse, because of course we were shy. We were not aware of ourselves. We had low self-esteem, and conversing with a boy was unheard of. So you put in between to really heed any conversation. But now we need to encourage collaboration. And if you look at the designs for the curriculum, because I spend a lot of time looking at them, at least you can see that even the Kenya Institute of Curriculum is very clear on what needs to happen at the classroom level. And I hope the teachers can appreciate and take it positively. Sometimes I know it is a lot of work. I'm a trained teacher. And I remember when we were being trained, we are told, use learner-centered approach or strategy of pedagogy. And it's not an easy one where the learners are creating their own learning environment. But I think it is doable. And I think as a teacher, if I was to go back to class, I would really encourage my learners to really think of what they want to learn and actually support each other. You know, I'll be a facilitator and not really someone who knows it all.
Exactly. That's a very interesting discussion, Daktari. And you remember having that young kid, you know, when you talk about the values, and when that young kid, you know, gets home from school, you find the baby, you know, child, you know, anaimba some songs like Mimi Sipangwingwi, you know. And then, you know, as the time and I grow, you know, and shika hizo vitu, next time unamtuma na kama mimi si hapana, ungeniambia jana, you know. Ndio nijipange, otherwise miss. So those are the things we need to dwell with, you know, as parents, as stakeholders, because it has some kind of effect, you know, on the child growth. So thank you so much, Daktari. We'll be back. We'll discuss about the International Day of the Culture. Where are we in terms of gender parity? You know, are we on the right direction? And before that, we'll take a short break, and then we'll be able to get in touch with our reporter, and then we'll be back for the same discussion. Thank you, Daktari. Mwanajita Kalejin kiwekisenya gengalala ngala International Day of the Culture, not an gibwati in petut not an Brian Gotomo. Mayigenyorun report and yanata Tom Chep Soy committee governoratan about Baringo. Ngala ngala kana jeta satai chibo emit bidang about the director Chef Songol. Tom Chep Soy connect report notan.
Koko bising studio kuige mo amite ning tono tab kabarnet ne ingwi sabrano kara ke mechi nyurun ngalanet nebo agenge ko boto muchimo Ruben Chep Songol ne netan ko director nebo KVDA anango borne noton eteljinde tetutu kitnyege akebe ro kimiten en Kerio Valley chibo engo musiketon ponno thrift anango buro chibo kebe buro kibo no thrift anango murot katam engo musiketon po kiwoto sikibo baringo county elge market ko boto wos ko kabata muchimo Chep Songol
en kasarta noton Matian and Kasatanatan and Matian. So could you say me think about that, Daktari? Dr. Ngina in the studio, not in the Kass TV and Alanya, not in the Barani. Daktari, welcome back. And maybe talking about the gender parity. Where are we? Why do we have to like celebrate on this day? And what is the importance? Because I'm seeing the First Lady with Kisumu Governor and Kericho Governor, they are having the same discussion in Kericho today. Why do you talk about it, and what is the importance, and where are we? You've heard about the Parliament talking about, you must implement the 2 girls gender rule, you know, you have to do this, you haven't done this, and it's in the Constitution. Where are we? Are we in the right direction, Dr.?
It's interesting. We have come from far. Today I woke up thinking about someone called Ruth Habwe, who in 1964 vied for a parliamentary position just after independence. And everyone ganged against her, saying, go cook for your husband. I think that is what is written. and the story goes that at that time, that was the slogan. You're supposed to be cooking and not vying. And actually, she was disowned by her party.
Like, where's your place? Yeah.
Yes, yes. She was disowned, and she stood at a independent party. Of course, she didn't win. But when you look at where we have come, 1964, we are still having the same conversation. That even now, if you look at the statistics, that in Kenya, only 15% of women are governors, which is seven out of 47. The MP, we are at 10%, only 29, excluding the women MP, those one who had affirmative action. That only 30 women out of the 290 constituencies were able to be elected in Parliament. Yes. When you think about MCA, we are at 8%, only around 150. So if you look at the statistics, it's not encouraging. We really have a long way.
The numbers are not good.
The numbers are not good. Actually, I was reading, when you read more about SDG 5 on gender equality, we require around 280 years if we move at the same pace. Yes, for us to one day say, okay, we are now at a place
That's
where we
almost
can...
8 generations.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine, we have a long way to go. But the sad part is that the policies are there. If you think about that gender role, it is there in the Constitution. And it is not saying in the favor of which gender. We can have 2/3 of 60% being women and 40% men, or either way.
Yeah.
And yet we have not implemented that. We still find men getting promotion, getting positions. Even in our leadership, we still have the boys' club.
Oh, yeah.
But having said that, I think the country has done a lot of work. I think it's always good to point the thing that have been done. If you look at when Wangari Maathai started fighting for equal pay, when that time women were not even given house allowance because it was expected.
Yep.
Anyway, why do you need a house allowance and your husband has house allowance?
A nice allowance, yes.
And now we have a policy where, anyway, if you're working, you're given house allowance, whether you're male or you're female. If you look at even those elective positions, I think now, even if the percentage is small, we have women who are getting elected. In education sector, we have policies for sure now to support women. One of the policies I can point out is the issue of back to school, where when girls get pregnant, they can go back to school. I think that for me is a very progressive policy, because what we had initially is when you get pregnant, whether you're informed to, that is the end of life, go raise your child, you're already a mother, and that's it.
You don't have a place to come back to.
You don't have a place to come back to. But now when it is in the policy, it means even if you get pregnant, of course, you still face a lot of victimization. Sometimes you'll hear people saying, you are a mother, what are you doing in school? But still, you have a right to be in that school. And I think for me, that is a very progressive policy. Another one, issues to do with with sanitary towels. Sometimes when you visit supermarket, you have these girls that are saying support, and I'm like, why can't we have the implementation of this policy where every school receive enough sanitary towels for our girls? Why do we have to have girls not going to school because they can't afford it? And in our context, you might look at 50 shillings, 60 shillings, and those things keeps on increasing in price. That like is small amount of money, but it's a lot for girls. It's a lot for girls in our rural areas. So as a country, we need to ensure that the policies that we put in place are well implemented. Even the issues of Land Inheritance, Land Act, I think it was passed, could be 2015. We are still haven't achieved that. We are still having issues where women are struggling to inherit either their parents or even their husband things. But we have made progress. We are making progress. We need to do more. The women, of course, the women who are in leadership, who are in positions, I think they carry a lot of responsibility, because they need to inspire us. When we look at someone like Mother Koome, she's a source. She's a source of inspiration to many.
Okay, maybe we'll take a short break, and then we'll be right back. We rectify on your sound. Thank you.
#minute